Welcome. In this video, rather than introducing you to a new academic topic, I thought I would take a slightly different tack and address some of the statistical information about the demographics of American college students. Let's get started. I found information that I found interesting about who is attending American colleges and how many students are currently enrolled. And this came from questions that I had about the number of Americans who had completed a college program, and it led me to ask a few other research questions, and I thought I'd share some of my findings with you. Currently, about 20 million students are enrolled in American colleges and universities. About 8% of the American population that's aged 18 or older is currently enrolled in college, or at least in some form of post-secondary education, whether it's called a college or university. And the state with the largest number of enrollees is California, with over 2 million of that state's citizens currently enrolled. Alaska has the fewest number of current college students at about 7,000. Now, that doesn't reflect a reduced interest in higher education in Alaska. It probably is more reflective of the fewer number of people who live in Alaska as compared to California. For citizens that are aged 25 years or older, there's 222 million of them in the United States at the moment. And these numbers are rounded off to the nearest integer. Of those 222 million citizens, 45 million, or 20%, have some college but have not completed a degree program. 19 million, about 9%, hold an associate's degree, but not a bachelor's degree. About 45 million, 20% of them, hold a bachelor's degree, but not a master's or a doctoral degree, or an additional professional degree. And about 28 million, 13%, hold some form of either a graduate degree or a professional degree. Now, a graduate degree could be a master's degree or a doctoral degree. A professional degree could be a Juris Doctor, such as is common in preparation for practicing law, or medical doctor, such as a physician would hold. The most popular disciplines for this same age group, the 25 or older, is science and engineering with 26 million graduates, science and engineering related fields at 7 million, business at 15 million, education at 9 million, arts, humanities, and other disciplines at 17 million. Now remember, that's out of a population of 222 million American citizens who are of the age of 25 or older. There can be a financial benefit to holding a college degree. Earnings are correlated with the amount of education for the citizens. Now, you got to remember, this doesn't apply to every single citizen, but this is a statistical comparison of earnings and college degrees. For citizens who have less than a high school education, median earnings are $25,351 per year. High school graduate can expect $32,002. Now, I shouldn't say expect. These are the median earnings for people at these degrees. These numbers don't apply to individuals. They apply to the population as a whole. With some college or an associate's degree, median earnings are a little bit over $38,000 per year. Bachelor's degree holders, $56,000 or a little bit over. And a graduate or a professional degree, $75,328 per year. Now, again, for that same population, Americans who are 25 years of age or older, honestly, it's mostly women that are attending and completing college. So at some college with less than 1 year of college completed, 47% are male, 53% are female. For some college, but more than a year, but no degree earned, 48% and 52%. For an associate's degree, 43% of the population compared to 57% of the population, male to female. Bachelor's degree, 47 and 53. Master's degree, 43% and female, 57%. Now, up to this point, it's been primarily female who have completed these programs. At the professional school degree, so for example, a Juris Doctor or a medical doctor, 56% are male, 44% are female. And for a doctoral degree, such as a Doctor of Philosophy, 57% are male and 43% are female. Now, I would find it interesting to find out why up through the master's level, the majority of graduates are female. But at the professional and doctoral levels, the majority are male. I'd be interested to know why we see that change in the population of graduates from professional schools and doctoral degree holders. Some other interesting data I acquired: 67% of high school graduates do continue their education by enrolling in college. It doesn't mean that they finish their programs, but at least they are continuing into post-secondary education. First-term students at college who are involved in extracurricular activities have, on average, a higher GPA than those same students in the first term that are not involved in extracurricular activities, and the increase is 18% higher GPA. Over half of the currently enrolled students in American colleges have parents who did not attend college. Now, this is, in my judgment, this is good news for, or it could be good news for American society. It means from one generation to the next, there is the increase in post-secondary education levels. There's it's also possible that students of parents who held a college degree are not going to college. I don't I didn't find any data to lead me to that conclusion. The data that have been reading lead me to conclude that there actually is an increase in the population of students whose parents did not hold a college degree, rather than a reduction in the number of students whose parents held a degree. And the typical American college student is in the age bracket of 18 to 24 years old. And just if you're interested, the average age for a graduate student, someone enrolled in a master's, professional, or a doctoral degree program, is 33 years old. Now, I read in the news that American student loan debt is skyrocketing. So I wanted to do a little digging into that. Yes, the total value of American student debt is very large, but I found some conflicting information, so I didn't report that number. But what I was able to discern was that the average student loan is about $30,000. 3 million former students have loan debt in excess of $100,000 from their time at college. And about 30% of students who have completed a bachelor's degree finish the degree with no student loan debt. Now, that could be because their parents paid for the program, their employer paid their tuition and living costs, such as I received benefits toward my education when I was in the military service. So, I don't know if that 30% that are completing the bachelor's degree program, I don't know what percentage of that 30% were able to pay for college themselves without accruing some debt. But to me, the good news is that the average student loan debt is $30,000. It's not, which to me, okay, granted, I'm many years past college, but to me, having a debt of $30,000 is something that I would think that someone earning a reasonable salary should be able to pay off within a few years. Now, I gathered my data primarily from the U.S. Census Bureau, but I also relied on a little bit of data from financial magazines. I want you to use the data I've provided in this presentation solely to understand the general state of American education. Don't assume that any given datum or any combination of data that I presented will apply to you and your circumstances. This is aggregate statistics. In my experience, so I'm speaking as an individual, each college degree tends to pay for itself through increased earnings within a few years under two conditions: that the graduate is working within the discipline that they studied, and that no very significant loan debt is carried after graduation. So, if you're thinking about how this might apply to you, remember my caution. The data I present may not apply to you in particular, but it's hard not to think about how patterns in data might not apply to us. If you're thinking about taking out loans to pay for college, I advise you to speak first to a financial counselor, and not just the financial counselors at your academic institution. Remember, those advisors, while individually they may mean well, they are working for an environment that ultimately is attempting to sell you something. They're attempting to sell you an education. So take advice from those counselors, but also from an unencumbered third party who can offer you good financial advice. Now, I very particularly did not compare institutions by particular name or by type of education. I advise you to carefully select an academic institution that meets your particular needs. Maybe that's you need to study at an online school or an evening school because you have other obligations during the day, or you have a need to get out of the house in which your family lives and be on your own. So you're looking for a residential college. But whatever you're choosing, the advice that I've given to our daughters and that I gave to all of my nieces and nephews and any other teenager that would listen to me, I often advise them to take their first 2 years of education at a community college where the general education requirements can be addressed. And these are the same requirements that freshmen and usually sophomores at 4-year colleges and universities also have to meet. If you can take the classes at a community college at a much lower cost, tuition, and sometimes you can even live at home, then when you transfer to the 4-year institution, you're carrying significantly less debt, and you might have no debt at all. You can significantly reduce your total tuition burden, and if you're living at home, your residential costs, by taking those first 2 years at a community college. When making this choice, or I should say, when considering taking classes at a community college, make sure you first selected the 4-year institution from which you'd like to be graduated and the field of study that you will have at that 4-year institution. While I say that most of the general education requirements at community colleges can be transferred to the 4-year institution, that's not true of all degree programs. For instance, the son of our best friend, or the youngest son of our best friends, is enrolled in a 4-year institution as a freshman, specifically because his degree program required freshmen to take a number of, I think he had to take computer science and statistics that were taught at that institution. So he wasn't able to take advantage of completing the first year or 2 years at a community college and then transferring the credits. And that's not an uncommon requirement of 4-year institutions, but it's by no means typical. Most 4-year institutions will allow the transfer of usually 45 to 60 credits. In other words, a year and a half or 2 years worth of study from a community college that can be transferred into the 4-year college. So look at all your options. Don't assume you can meet the requirements of the four-year school that you'd like to go to by taking classes at the community college, but also don't assume that you can't. Get your facts, choose the four-year college, and then as a second step, consider whether you can and should take the first few years' worth of study at a less expensive institution. Now, I want you to share your advice with other students. Let's use the commenting feature of this YouTube video to teach one another. So leave your comments below. Consider, why did you select the institution that you're currently attending or that you're planning on attending soon? What degree will you be pursuing? Because that can also affect the advice that you give. What is your major? Or if you're just now planning to go to college or you're still in the first year, what major do you hope to pursue? What's the advice that you've got for other students? Often we can learn from one another. So I encourage you to use the commenting feature of the YouTube system to help other students and hope in return to gain advice from other students. I hope you found these data interesting. I don't know how useful they will be to the decisions that you make, but it's nice to know that we are a nation that, to a fairly significant degree, values education, and therefore we should consider educating ourselves. Until we meet again in a future video, I wish you the absolute best in all your academic work, and particularly in your college planning. Bye for now. Mika, you like laying down, don't you? You're a good dog. Oh, and you love a nice rub, don't you? Yes, you're a beautiful dog. Let's look at your teeth. Oh, wow, those are big ones. But they're nice and clean. You have nice, healthy gums. Oh, look at that beautiful mouth. Oh, you're so nice. Yes. All right, I won't bother you too much more. Maybe just a little bit. Let me see if I can have one more look. All right, come on, let me take a look at it. All right. Oh, beautiful teeth. I love you. All right, you can go back to sleep.